You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
We've got former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura coming on. He's got an article and video up on Infowars.com. Ventura, CEO salary's up 875% since 1978. And obviously, I think there are a lot of CEOs that are doing pump and dumps, running scams, a lot of things I don't like. But I don't know if I agree with Ventura on this, but I think it's an important debate, just like minimum wage is an important debate. So we'll debate in a friendly way that coming up in the next segment. Also, please, because I barely plugged it in the last minute of the last hour, please, this holiday season, this Christmas season, give the gift of health and do it early. Give Survival Shield X2 to friends and family. Tell them that they will detox in a couple of weeks on it, so they may feel bad for a couple of days. But give them the literature, tell them to talk to their physician. If they try it, it'll be, in most cases we've seen, so revolutionary that they'll be hooked. Give them a bottle of our B12, a Secret 12 proprietary that's about to sell out. If you want to get it for Christmas, I'd do it now, because we may not get more in. InfoWarsLife.com. That's the type of gift that just keeps on giving. So don't just take this stuff yourself for folks that have tried some of the products and give it rave reviews. Give the gift, and give the gift of funding this operation so we can continue and expand and get more reporters so we can have folks all over the world, not just the United States. Now, I saw this piece last night on InfoWars Nightly News, a little news update by Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, retired. And I remember seeing this in the news, and I thought it at the point, and then he thought the same thing I was thinking. One cop gets killed, and they call it terrorism, but 13 soldiers get killed. They don't. Here is Joe Biggs' report.
I'm Joe Biggs with Infowars.com with a disturbing update on the case of Eric Frein, the alleged cop killer. Now, this gentleman killed one cop, and now they're saying that they're going to add terrorism charges to this. So this blows my mind to know that a man kills one cop and he will be brought up on terrorism charges. And meanwhile, the Fort Hood shooter, Nadal Hassan, is going to be considered workplace violence. But we'll get back to that in a second. Now, the police are acting like an occupying army in northeast Pennsylvania. It isn't working. And what they're saying is no expenses had been spared to find Eric Frein. This man has become so expensive, it is now running into the millions of dollars. Now, the residents, people who live in that area, were put on lockdown while others have been blocked from returning to their homes. Many have expressed understandable frustration over the way they've been treated. So the police officers themselves are acting like terrorists to find this one man who killed one cop. Meanwhile, we have Nadal Hassan, a psychiatrist who worked at the Fort Hood Army base. He shoots and kills 13 people and wounds another 30, and they are going to consider this workplace violence. This is a man who has terrorist ties and says he wants to become a citizen of the Islamic State Caliphate, ISIS. Does anyone else see a problem with that? Because that, quite frankly, pisses me off. This is something that we keep doing. We keep glorifying these police officers. One cop's life is apparently equal to 13 dead soldiers at a base. This is mind-blowing. This is something that needs to be looked at and changed. I can't stand seeing something like this. It makes my blood boil and my heart is beating out of control. It just pisses me off. I mean, I don't understand how we can do this. I mean, one cop is considered terrorism. Look at that. I mean, what the hell are we doing right now? This is such a crazy time we live in. Stay tuned for more reports here at Infowars.com. I'm Joe Biggs.
Jesse Ventura's coming up, folks. That's Joe Biggs' report. And again, in a way it is terrorism, just randomly go out and shoot a cop for fun. But it's obviously terrorism at Fort Hood as well. But the difference is our government's funding the very ISIS, Al-Qaeda type groups that influenced Hassan. So that's why they don't want to call it terrorism, is to cover it up, basically. We'll be back with Jesse Ventura. But Jesse Ventura is our guest for the next 51 minutes. And then we have pharmacist Ben Fuchs coming on to talk about medical news. We will take some of your calls for Jesse Ventura coming up at about 40 after. So I'll give that number out coming up at the start of the next segment. But we've got a waterfront of things to cover. We've got the fact that it's coming out that Obamacare was written to rip people off by big banks with the Republicans and the Democrats behind the scenes. We've got Jesse Ventura saying CEO salaries are up 875%. That's true since 78. He's saying forget the minimum wage going up. I mean, my issue is they're just devaluing the dollar, so that's the real problem. He says cap CEO salaries. And the CEO is making $50 million a year. We'll get his take on that. He's really talking about that. Putin says Russian economy won't be dominated by dollar dictatorship. New Cold War starting. Gloves are coming off there. We've got so many other important things that we're going to be breaking down today with Jesse Ventura. He also wants to talk about some inside baseball with how the media works and some of the behind-the-scenes things that have been happening with him before he goes on big radio and TV shows, really showing others a talking point out there of types. And I want to talk about attempts to censor the Internet. I want to be clear, because I got attacked on the Internet, and I got a lot of emails the last few days when I said what Mark Cuban is saying and what Ted Cruz is saying and other people that have seen what they've already proposed. I don't want to federalize the Internet, to, quote, protect it. And then Obama says he wants net neutrality. Well, that's like he wanted free health care. It's a fraud. The FCC wants to tax and regulate the web. They've said that. You don't not protect net neutrality or give it to Obama. I want net neutrality. Obama's saying we have to have government involved to do that. We already have the regulations and the rules and the agreements on net neutrality, and customers can organize and leave companies that violate that. The free market can deal with it. I want to get Jesse Ventura's take on that first, but I am not for the government with their internet kill switch. They've already taken it over. Now they just want you to know they're the boss. Look what they've done with water as a utility. They've sold it off to foreign interest. I say leave the internet like it is. Don't let Obama, with all these Democrats that say they want to bring in the fairness doctrine to the internet and radio. Listen, I couldn't have this show if they brought the fairness doctrine back. If they do it, I'm going to continue. They're just going to have to arrest me. Now, Governor, I haven't asked your take on this. He's got a hit TV show that's got millions of viewers online now every week, aura.tv/off the grid. That's really going gangbusters. And remember the first time I met him like 8, 9 years ago, I said, wait till you just do your own show on the internet. And he looked at me like I was a space alien. He said, we'll talk about this later. But now he certainly knows. Jesse Ventura, thanks for coming on with us.
Yeah, thanks. Alex, the internet's the only place I got left. I have my problems now with the mainstream media. They avoid me like the plague. And so I'm really focusing myself completely on the internet. And I agree with you. I don't want any government intervention of a takeover of the internet in any way, shape, or form. I'm all for equality and neutrality. We all deserve the same type of access to the internet. But I agree with you. I don't want the government getting a foothold. I don't want them getting the ability to tax it and things of that nature, because as soon as that happens, we lose it. And we all know that the government wants to be in control of everything.
Well, absolutely. I mean, they have such a history of taking things over and signing it off in backroom deals to insiders. We don't want companies like Microsoft and Apple and all these others and the big telecoms, AT&T, to start carving it up. But we don't want to hand it over to the big fox, to the big wolf, to protect it.
Yeah, it's a tough, dicey situation, and it's a delicate situation, because, as I said, you certainly want every individual out there to have equal access and to be able to use the internet, in their lives. And you got to be careful that the internet doesn't fall prey to, corporate takeover in the private sector where they monopolize, because they can be just as bad as the government when it comes to that type of thing. In fact, let's remember something. It's the corporations who are running our government.
That's right. So from your research and being a governor and being a successful businessman, what do we do? Have a bipartisan commission, have a public debate, and kind of inform the public about it? I mean, I've seen them already try to get rid of net neutrality, and the public backlash has stopped it when the corporations just do it on their own. So, I mean, I really think that's the answer, is a vigilant public.
Yeah, well, it has to be, and that's your problem. The public's not vigilant. I mean, you know, I got asked the other day about running for president again, and I responded like this. I said, well, 2016 would be the opportune time from a voter standpoint. Look at this last midterm election. What was the national voter turnout? About 37%?
Yes.
Okay, that means you've got a pot out there of 63%, a huge majority that a person like me could tap into. And that's what we did in Minnesota. That's how we viewed it in Minnesota. You know, I could steal votes from the actual 37%.